People are craving leadership in society today. The women in our lives are craving for us to make bold, assertive decisions, and at the risk of being misunderstood, tell them what to do. Our children really want us to set up boundaries. Too many men run away from because it's significantly easier in the ease of modernity to cower, to whimper, to let other people take charge, to hope that somebody else will figure out, to have somebody give us a solution, instead of us as men stepping up and being the type of leaders that God has called us to be. When you're fat and you're drunk and you're lazy and you're pathetic, that isn't what God called you to be. It's easy, sure, but how long are you going to stay as a little boy and let somebody else dictate the direction of your life? How long are you going to let your kids wander and struggle and just have adversity because you can't lead them? How long is your wife going to feel like she's alone because you're not banded with her? How many men and women can be served by the business movement that you can start, but you're too afraid because you love your $15 or $20 an hour job?
Ryan Michler, welcome to the show. Happy to have you here.
Ryder, what's up, brother? Great to be here. I've been very much looking forward to our conversation. We connected on Instagram initially. Is that right?
To be honest, I cold emailed you.
Oh, you did? Damn.
Yeah.
Good work. Good work.
YouTube verified that I wasn't a bot, and on your profile, it would reveal the business email, and that's how I got in contact with you.
Good work, man. I have a lot of requests and I don't entertain them all. And that doesn't mean I think I'm better than anybody else by any means. It just means that I'm busy. So props to you for navigating the busyness and getting me on the call.
Well, glory be to God for that, because I've been looking forward to this ever since you responded. So, but real quick, just give you a quick introduction for those that may not know you. You are the founder of the Order of Man brand podcast, and you're also the founder of the Iron Council. You're a father of 4, a U.S. veteran. You served in Iraq. You started Order of Man in 2015, and you now have, if this is correct, over 60 million podcast downloads, which is awesome.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is now. It's well, I know it's over 100 million, but I don't know what the exact total is. So,
oh wow. With over, and again, you've probably done more than this. This was just the information that I could find, but over 470 guests interviewed. You are also the author of 2 best-selling books. And with Iron Council, you have helped, thousands and thousands of men. So truly an honor to be sitting here speaking with you today.
Yeah, man. It's an honor to be speaking with you. This is amazing. I think there's so much information to go around and so many conversations that we need to have. And obviously the world is in turmoil. And, I think we look around and we see a lot of negativity and hostility in the world, but I think there's a lot of good men out there and a lot of guys who want to become better men. So if I can serve them, you can serve them, whoever else can serve them, then that means this mission is moving forward. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with it 100%. After the tragedy that occurred on September 10th last week, and we'll get into that, you pushed out a video. And that video, the message of that video, everything you said, I am in complete agreement with, essentially a call to action for men, because of just how tumultuous these times are. And one of the biggest reasons why I signed up for the Iron Council, honestly, was because of the messaging of that video. So I had a whole different kind of podcast planned when I first received your acceptance reply to my email. And then September 10th happened, and I had to redo all of it because I felt like the conversation was just going to be a little bit different. I guess my first question for you is, Ryan, for those who don't know your story, what moment or moments pushed you to start Order of Man?
There's never really a specific moment. There's a series of moments. And I remember certain aspects of the relationship I had with my ex-wife, the relationship I've had with my kids, conversations that I've had. Man, I even had a conversation with my youngest son. He's 9 years old last night. And I went to his lacrosse game and I went to him after and I said, "Hey bud, good job." And he's like, "Why were you on your phone the whole time?" And I was like, "Was I?" He's like, "Yeah, every time I looked over, you were on your phone." And it probably wasn't entirely accurate, but it was his perception. And so that's his reality. And so I have all of these little moments in life, and they're seemingly insignificant, where I need to step up. I need to be a better father. I need to be a better business owner, a better community leader, a better man in general. Um, and I can point to some that were catalysts for the growth that we've had, but at the end of the day, it's all these other little moments that add up where I realized, man, I could really use some help, but it wasn't out there. And so in 2015, I decided that I'm going to start having conversations with men I'm inspired by, similar to what you're doing right now. And I'm going to start having these conversations. And we blew up immediately. We had this incredible rise, and I think it's a testament to the fact that more and more men want to learn what it means to be a good man. And your movement and literally thousands of other movements are a testament to the work that we did 10 years ago. So when guys are saying, "Hey, I want to start this men's movement," that's because of the work that we did. And I'm not trying to be arrogant when I say that, but I started this when nobody else was doing it. And it's so incredible to see guys like yourself and other people starting these other movements that are going to reach people that I never would have been able to reach on my own as a byproduct. And some of these guys are doing work and they don't even know what we did 10 years ago, but they're still a byproduct of the work that we did because it's generational at this point. It's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. And I'm very excited to see what we've done in the past decade of work.
Well, you certainly inspired me. I'm still new to this space. I've only been doing this podcast for, I mean, we're pushing it into our second month now, and I've it's just a whole bunch of me right now. And I started it off kind of wrong, right? I was trying to dive into the more vulnerable side of things, but it's completely changed for me as of late. And that's because I was seeing areas of my life where I was falling short. My dad asked me a question last night. He said, "Well, how do you think you're doing?" And I said, "Well, Dad, honestly, I've been doing things my way, not God's way, and my way has led me into marriage therapy." So, and I mean, that's just keeping it a buck. You know, one of the things that you've said a lot, and it's part of your brand, and I love this. You know, you often say that men need to protect, provide, and preside. And in as much detail as you care to go into, can you break down what that really looks like for a modern man these days?
Well, there's a lot to it. Is there an area that you want to focus on specifically?
The presiding,
Cool.
presiding
We can do
in
that.
particular.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. So preside, for those of you who don't know, is synonymous with leadership. And our job as men is to be leaders. Leaders in the walls of our home, in the boardroom, in our communities, every aspect of life. It's my job to show up as a leader, right? Or it's your job to show up as a leader. It's other people's job to show up as leaders, men. And especially in the realm of fatherhood, it is your job to lead your children. And some of those things you're going to lead by example, and other things, maybe you're going to lead by what you should not do. But I think we should be more deliberate and intentional about the way that we step up. And I think people are craving leadership in society today. The women in our lives are craving for us to make bold, assertive decisions, and at the risk of being misunderstood, tell them what to do. Our children really want us to set up boundaries. I've had multiple friends throughout my life, especially when I was younger, whose parents were the quote unquote cool parents. And at the time, I thought it was really awesome that their parents were cool. And looking back on it now, I can't help but think what an injustice and a disservice they did to their son by being the cool parent instead of being the one who was there as a rock, a pillar, a foundation of boundaries and credibility and respect. And it is our job to establish boundaries. It's our job to communicate what those are. It's our job to uphold the expectation. It's our job to have difficult conversations, to ignite conversations that might be frustrating or emotionally charged. And these are all the things that a lot of men, too many men, run away from because it's significantly easier in the ease of modernity to cower, to whimper, to let other people take charge, to hope that somebody else will figure out, to have somebody give us a solution instead of us as men stepping up and being the type of leaders that God has called us to be. And so when you're fat and you're drunk and you're lazy and you're pathetic, that isn't what God called you to be. It's easy, sure, but how long are you going to stay as a little boy and let somebody else dictate the direction of your life? How long are you going to let your kids wander and struggle and just have adversity because you can't lead them? How long is your wife going to feel like she's alone because you're not banded with her? How many men and women can be served by the business movement that you can start, but you're too afraid because you love your $15 or $20 an hour job? I I can't advocate for that. We have to step up. We have to be bold and we have to take risk. Nobody else is going to do it. Your kids aren't going to do it. Your woman isn't going to do it. Society isn't going to ask that you do it. It's all on your shoulders, exactly where it ought to be.
One of the things that I've personally struggled with right there is just accepting that responsibility for what it is, and for stepping up in all aspects of my life, not just in my marriage, not just with fatherhood, but again, all aspects. And in your most recent video, you had mentioned that you hear a lot of guys talk about how they want to be in a brotherhood and they want to do these different things, but it's their lack of action that really defines what they're wanting, right? And I don't know if you're going to like this particular question just because of how I might word it, but you know, what's probably the best way for men to step up and to truly figure out what it means to be a leader, right? Not just in their household, but in their community.
Well, first of all, why wouldn't I like that question? That's a good question.
But
I don't understand.
the reason why is because in that video you had mentioned that essentially you wanted guys to stop asking how to do it and to just do it.
Right. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But you're asking how so that we can educate men on what to do, and that's a little bit different.
Right. That's where I'm at with it too. So,
I mean, the answer is just do what you already know you should be doing. You got somebody visiting you. It sounds like.
That's courtesy of my 4-year-old daughter.
Oh, okay.
They're playing outside with their uncle right now.
God,
You might hear a little bit of background noise.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all good. I know those days for sure. My answer actually is in alignment with what you just said. When you say, well, how can we do this? How can we step up? You already know. Everybody already knows. And what they're looking for when they ask that question, which is probably what I alluded to in that video that I did, is what you want me to say is something easier than what you know you already should be doing. That's what you're looking for when you ask that question. Not you specifically, but when men ask that question. Hey, tell me there's an easier way. You know, if you said, well, how do I lose weight? You don't want me to tell you that you need to eat way less than you're currently eating, cut out processed sugars, and start going to the gym. That isn't the answer that you want because you already know that. The answer you want is, oh, I have this miracle drug that if you just inject into your veins once a week, then you'll lose the 30 pounds that has been sitting around your midsection. Anybody who asks that question is already looking for a reason not to do what they already know they should be doing. How do you lead? Easy, man. You lead. If your wife says, hey, where should we go to dinner tonight? Don't say, I don't know. Cowards say, I don't know. You know what you like to eat. You know what your favorite restaurant is. Just say, hey, babe, I'd like to go to ABC restaurant. I got us a reservation at 7:00. What's wrong with that? I have guys reach out to me all the time and they'll say, hey, I'd like to do a podcast. When's available? And I say, I'm available on Wednesday. And they're like, well, what time? When? Maybe this Wednesday or no. Just give me an answer. Like, hey, Ryan, I'd love to have you on the podcast. I've got some availability on Thursday afternoon between noon and 3 or Tuesday from 9 to noon. When you're at work and somebody's like, hey, where should we go to lunch? You're like, I don't know, whatever you guys think. Stop doing that. Say, hey, guys, there's this really cool new sushi restaurant in town. We should go there. When your kids are like, hey, Dad, what are we going to do this week? And say, I don't know. What would you guys like to do? Say, hey, we could either go to the park. We could go on this really cool hike I found, or I can take you to the local family fun center and we could go bowling together. What would you guys like? Make some decisions. Be bold. Have some balls. Like, enough with the tap dancing around, making everybody else feel good. Because you know what? Nobody appreciates that. Literally nobody. You know what people appreciate? Boldness, clarity, decisiveness. And if somebody has a problem with my plan, I'm going to assume they're a grown-ass adult and they can just tell me, I don't want to do that. I want to do this instead. Cool. I'll book us a reservation for the steakhouse instead of the sushi place. Good to go. And I'm still leading.
That's been one of the points of contention, and it's just an example, right? But it's been one of the points of contention between me and my wife, is that whole discussion of where we're going to eat, and me saying exactly what you had just said was, well, I don't know, and I think a lot of men.
Let me stop you right there real quick, because you're a member of the Iron Council, so I'm going to give you some coaching if I can, if you will allow me to give you some coaching.
Please, no, please, absolutely.
What are your top 3 restaurants in town?
There's a Japanese place that we go to a lot.
What's it called?
Shiki, I think.
Shiki? Okay.
Yeah, Shiki. It's like a Japanese steakhouse /
What else?
sushi place. We go to New Jinjin Buffet pretty frequently, maybe once a week, which we haven't been going as much lately.
Okay.
And there is a restaurant that we go to probably twice a year, and it's called Daryl's, and it's a wood-fired grill. And that's somewhere that just me and the wife go.
Awesome. How many kids do you have?
3.
What are their ages? You have a 4-year-old daughter.
Yeah. So 2 sons, 1 daughter. My oldest is 8. My daughter's 4. And then my youngest son is 2.
Okay. Who do you have for babysitters?
Me. I am a stay-at-home dad.
Okay. But who do you have for babies? You're not a babysitter. You're a stay-at-home dad. Who do you have for babysitters?
My cousin, which he's here right now. They call him Uncle Jacob.
That's okay. Cool.
Yeah, him, and then my cousin Nikki.
Okay.
Sometimes the sisters-in-laws.
Nikki is a woman or man? Nikki could go either way. Woman. Okay. And that's your cousin?
Yep.
Okay. So you've got 2 to 3 to 4 people, it sounds like, that are baby. You're not a babysitter, but 2 to 3 to 4 people who are babysitters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's what I want you to do, Ryder. It's we're recording this on Wednesday. I want you to call whoever is the first person that you would like to watch your kids and say, hey, Nikki, on Saturday night, I'd like to hire you to watch the kids from 6 to 9. Can you do that for me? And she's like, yeah, I can do that for you. Cool. I'm going to pay you $60. I don't know what the going rate is. $60, whatever. I'm past the stage of having to hire babysitters, but let's just say it's $60. Let's say it's, what is it? $5 per child. So maybe it's $45. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is. So, hey, I'd like to hire you from 6 to 9. And you come over at 4:30 or 5:30 and stay till about 9:30, 10, and I'll pay you a few more bucks if it ends up being a little later. And she's like, cool, I can do that. Then I want you to get a reservation. And I don't, which your pick, not your wife's pick. Don't even consult your wife. Just pick one. The sushi house, the buffet, the steakhouse, or the wood-fired grill. Pick one. The wood-fired grill, that's what I would choose because that's what resonates with me. But you pick whatever resonates with you. Call them up. You say, hey, I'm going to be there at 6 o'clock. I need a reservation for 2 at 6 o'clock Saturday night. What's your wife's name?
Mackenzie.
And so you get this all lined out. You say, hey, Mackenzie, I just want you to know I got us a reservation Saturday night for 6 o'clock over at the Woodfire thing. And Nikki's coming over. It's already planned. She'll be here at 5:30, ready to go. I want you to wear and tell her what you want her to wear. Because there's probably an outfit or two that you really like. Maybe it's those jeans that look really, really good on her. Maybe it's the dress that the neckline sits just perfectly. I don't know what it is, but there's probably an outfit or two that you really like. And you say, hey, Mackenzie, I want you to wear this thing. And at 5:30, Nikki's coming over. At 5:45, we're leaving. I got us reservations at the Woodfire Burning Place. I don't know. You didn't even tell me the name of the restaurant. And we're going to go out and we're going to have a couple of drinks. If that's your thing, I'm going to buy you a steak dinner. And then, we're going to have a really good night together. Bro, I promise you, she's going to think more highly of you if you do that. You secured the babysitter. You secured the reservations. You told her what to wear. She's working. You're a stay-at-home dad, so she's working. She's making decisions all day. She doesn't want to come home and have to make more decisions. You make some decisions, man.
Yeah.
Bro, you better do that. And unless you have a legitimate reason not to, you better do that. And you better message me inside the Iron Council, because you remember now, and tell me this is what I have planned. And then you better tell me at the end of the night, hey, we did that, and here's how the night went. That's how you lead. Bro, that's how we lead, man. That is how we lead. You just make decisions. You keep other people in mind who are going to be impacted by the decisions that you're making, but that's how you do it.
I will heed that advice, most definitely.
Bro, I'm going to be pissed if I don't hear from you. I'm not going to reach out to you, but I'm going to be pissed if I don't hear from you.
You will hear from me. You will hear from me. So,
all right,
let's see here.
Locked in.
The next question that I had for you was, and you've touched on the vulnerability aspect of it, but how do you balance being a strong and resilient man with also being vulnerable and being present as a dad?
I mean, I don't like the term vulnerability just because it's been bastardized and co-opted by the likes of Brené Brown, who look at it through a very feminine lens. I think women are designed to express their feelings without any trajectory forward, and that's okay. That serves a purpose. Who it serves a purpose with is other women, and that's how they resonate. They get together and they sit together like face to face, and they sip tea or like whatever it is women do, and then they have conversations about what's bothering them and the gossip and the who's doing what, and there's not. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I hope it doesn't come across as demeaning. That's just how women connect. Men don't connect in vulnerability. We connect in triumph. Women don't look to men to be vulnerable. I know there's a movement that says, well, women, we really want our men to be soft and vulnerable, but who are they going home to? Not the guys that are crying on their pillow or their shoulder and treating them like mommy. They're going home to the bad boy who doesn't need to be coddled or cuddled or whatever else it might be. So vulnerability is valuable this is for men, but vulnerability is valuable if it serves a purpose. Period. I don't want to hear your bullshit. I don't want to hear you cry. I don't want to hear all the things that are going wrong in your life as a man. I don't. If my daughter or my girlfriend comes to me and says, hey, I'm really struggling with this thing, I want to hear that because I can be a leader. I don't want to hear other men do that. I don't care. I don't care about your problems. I care about your solutions. And that's the answer. So how does a man be vulnerable? That's just half the equation. The other half is give me solutions. So if I go to my girlfriend and I say, hey, I'm really stressed out, and I'm having a hard time with my ex-wife, or I'm having a difficult time with one of my children, or I'm having a difficult time with this aspect of our relationship. That's part A. Part B is, what are you going to do about it? And so if I'm having a real struggle with one of my children, I might say to my girlfriend, hey, I'm really struggling with one of my children, and this is what's going on. It's been a source of frustration for me, but I have some ideas, and here's my 3 ideas, A, B, and C. And I think I'm going to do A and B, but I really care about your opinion because you're a woman and you might have perspective that I haven't considered before. What do you think? So that's a 3-part formula. 1 is problem, 2 is solution or proposed solution, 3 is feedback. You can't have a relationship as a man with somebody else if you're not willing to do all 3 of those. Problem, proposed solution, and looking for feedback. That's how you can be vulnerable, but it has to have the other, it's only a third of the equation. It has to have the other components.
A lot of the things that I'm telling my 8-year-old, he's just now starting to resonate with because, he's only 8, right? So how can I apply those kind of things to my youngest 2?
So your 8-year-old is in 3rd grade, right?
Yes.
So your 8-year-old comes to you one day. Let's just paint a scenario here. Your 8-year-old son comes to you and says, hey, Dad, I'm really frustrated at school. Maybe he doesn't even say that. Maybe you just know something's off. And you could see today was rough. And you ask your son, you're like, hey, bud, what's wrong? And he's like, nothing. Okay, now here's where vulnerability comes in. So if it's my 8-year-old son, I'm going to be like, yeah, man, I used to have those days too. I remember this one day where I was at school and the teacher called on me for a question and I tried to answer it, but it was the wrong answer. And everybody laughed at me and I felt like an idiot. And that was really hard. That was embarrassing. So embarrassing that 30 years later, I still remember it. And so I get those bad days, man. Those are tough. Those are rough. What's going on with you though? You see how vulnerability plays into the equation?
Yeah.
Leadership. I only shared that because I wanted to tear down the walls. I didn't share that because I wanted him to say, oh, Dad, you're okay. You're cool now. Well, I wasn't looking for validation. I was looking to break down the barriers and the walls that he's put up. And so maybe your son says, oh, man, I had that one time this teacher asked me a question about history and the answer was George Washington. And I said, Adolf Hitler. Like, I'm just using that as an example, right? And so everybody laughed at me. I'm like, yeah, well, I've done that too. Or maybe he says, oh man, that sucks. Yeah, my day was harder because this kid, Kyle, he's such a jerk. Like, we were out on the playground today and I got picked last for the basketball game we were going to play. And then he just made fun of me in front of all of my friends the entire time. Okay, you're trying to get vulnerability for a purpose. You're trying to get him to open up. And so he opens up about Kyle, the bully. And then this is the answer. You don't give answers. You just say, oh, yeah, man, the kid that I had in school, his name was Steve, and he was a little jerk like that too. Here's the best question you can ask your kids. What are you going to do about it? Because the minute you start telling them what they ought to do, they're like, Dad, what do you know? You're stupid. Times are different than they were before. You don't know my scenario. And it's true, you don't know. But if you tell your son, Yeah, Steve, he was a jerk to me. He did this. I had the same thing happen 30 years ago. That's wild that you're having happen right now. What do you think you're going to do about it? Now your son's going to start to formulate solutions. Well, I don't know. Maybe I should just ignore him. That's an idea. Do you think that will help? Well, maybe I should fight him. Well, that's an idea. What's the outcome of that? Well, maybe I should just tell him not to pick on me. That's an idea. Well, how do you see that playing out? And you lead them through the process to make their own decisions. That's how you lead with your kids.
I've had to do it recently with my 8-year-old. He had a situation in which it literally just happened yesterday. Not the bully, but the same kind of scenario that you are illustrating. Is that so? He had a rough day at school yesterday. He got 4 strikes, and you get 4 strikes. That's a call home, and that's that's disciplinary measures for him. It took me telling him a story in which I had something similar happen, and I remember it now, pushing 20 years later. And that's what it took to get him to open up about why he was feeling the way that he did in that particular situation. So I told him that I used to have those same issues too when I was his age, and that is true. I mean, I don't tell him lies or nothing. So
what did you do
I had to
after
do that
that?
just yesterday.
So you told him your scenario when you were a kid, you had the same issue, and then where did the conversation go from there?
So he has been in occupational therapy for kids. He was having issues with regulating his emotions more so than the normal 7 to 8-year-old. So he's been taking these courses at this establishment, and it's been really helpful for him. So there's like different like breathing exercises, and there's little things that just little things that he can do to help him cope with whatever he's going through in the classroom, on the football field, or just here at home, or whatever the scenario is. So I just asked him, I was like, did you utilize any of those tools that you have been taught and that we do at the house? And he said, no, I didn't. And I was like, well, what can you do for the next time that happens? And we went down the list of things that he can do. And that's how that conversation went. And so he told me that, and I just reassured him this morning, right? So we went through that process. I told him the story, and then he finally opened up to me about what he was feeling in that scenario. And then I reassured him this morning that I'm proud of him, I love him, and that today's a new day, and that he can be better than he was yesterday. And so far that's been true. I've been in touch with his teacher. He's been having a phenomenal day. So
Good. I think that's right. I just think the more that we can work our children through these processes and help them navigate their own problems, because the reality is that as fathers, we're not going to be around forever. And the sooner I can teach my children how to regulate their own emotions, how to deal with their own situations, the better off they're going to be. So I think it sounds like you did right by him, and that's awesome. Good work on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been a journey with him. So I'd like to shift the conversation over to the events of September 10th. And honestly, not even just that, but like all of just the things that's been happening leading up to, Charlie Kirk's, the tragedy of Charlie Kirk's passing, or martyrdom is what I consider it to be by the biblical definitions. Murder. Yeah, no, it's murder.
He was
100%. 100%. So all of this violence is on the rise, particularly political violence, but it really only seems to be getting worse. How should we as Christian men respond to that, you think?
Boldly. Did Christ ever say, it's okay if people are sinning? He fashioned a whip and he beat people with a whip. Now he was gentle, right? He was meek, but he was also bold and courageous. And it takes that duality, that dichotomy, to be the kind of man that you're supposed to be. If all you were with your children, your 3 children, was soft and empathetic and nurturing and kind, they would question whether or not you were the man that you ought to be. And if all you were was brutal and tyrannical and disciplinary, they would question whether or not you actually care about them. You need both. And I don't think Jordan Peterson talks about this, and I'm paraphrasing his idea. If you're not capable of violence, it doesn't mean that you're being kind-hearted. It just might mean that you're being weak. In order to be kind-hearted, in order to be meek, you need to be capable of violence and decide, as Jordan Peterson would say, to keep your sword sheathed in certain moments. But everybody needs to know there's a sword under there. And if I need to draw the sword, I will. I will be disciplinary. I will uphold the boundaries. I will fight for you. I will fight against those who would take advantage of you. One scenario I see all the time is women, girls, young girls being sexually abused and molested. And the men who are supposed to stand up in their lives more than anybody else, their father, especially if it's a family member, will continue to engage in behavior with that family who took advantage of their daughter. And what is that teaching your young, sweet daughter? That person who victimized her is more important than how she was victimized. Shame on any man who does that as a father. I don't even care if it's your own father. You report him to the authorities. You witness against him. You block him and shun him from your life, and you protect your young daughter, even if it's just optics. Let's say nothing comes of it. At least she knows you're willing to go to battle and protect her and stand by her, not by the guy who did wrong by her, who abused her, who victimized her. I see that I've heard, I can't even countless stories of that happening. Even within church organizations, pastors, bishops, sweeping that stuff under the rug. Quote unquote righteous men being unrighteous, playing the good old boys club, pretending like that young girl who was just victimized, her voice doesn't matter. Like this, do you have a spine or not? Do you have courage or not? You can't be courageous if nothing's difficult for you. So don't tell me you have courage unless you've actually been confronted with something that is really, really difficult to do and you made the decision in spite of it. And that's how you step up. And that's how people who you have a responsibility, like I have no responsibility for my father or my mother. I have a responsibility for my children, the people who listen to this podcast, who are involved. That's who I have a responsibility for. So if anybody who I do not have a responsibility for fell out of line with that, then my sole responsibility is to always take care of and side with the people I have responsibility for. But too many men are cowardly.
I think that we have a generation of weak men, particularly my age group, particularly the 20s and 30s. I really, really feel that way. Now, are all of them that way? No. But just based off of my experience and my what I have seen, right? A lot of weakness in our generation. And you had brought this up in your in that same video that I had mentioned earlier. We have gotten used to being silent, even though things and ideologies that are being that are happening right now as you and I are talking are just completely intolerable, and no one has stood up to these ideologies. Not in a big enough number to make a massive difference.
Well, Christians are taught to turn the other cheek. I'm not turning anything. I'm not doing that. Christ didn't do that.
No.
He was bold and courageous. And I don't know enough about scripture to accurately transcribe what he was looking for. But I don't think it was just let yourself get beat up or let other people under your care get taken advantage of. He didn't illustrate that behavior. He stood up for the people that he loved.
Yeah.
He chastised what was wrong. He didn't say, I was okay, like live and let live. Nah, I never heard Christ say that. He said, this is right, this is wrong, take it or leave it. If you don't, then you need to repent.
Yeah.
Never hated the person, hated the sin, and gave them a path to redemption, gave his life for a pathway to redemption. But he didn't turn the other cheek the way that most modern Christians interpret that scripture. He was bold and courageous and righteous and stood up for what was true.
I think a lot of people who claim to be Christians are scared of what people will think of them. And we went to church this past Sunday morning, and this is something that the pastor had preached his sermon on, was John 15, verse 18. If the world hate you, know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love his own, but because you are not of the world, and I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. So, I mean, it says it right there in the Bible, right? If you proclaim Jesus as Lord and Savior, and if you spread the gospel, and if you know, it's a public thing, right? You know, if you're spreading the gospel, that's a public thing. So I think a lot of Christians have kind of get scared of being quote unquote canceled because they're going around and spreading the gospel. So
Canceled from what? What are you going to be
right,
canceled from?
I don't
mean,
know.
You could lose your job. That's real. So how about instead of being beholden to somebody who has your job, learn how to network, learn how to build relationships, learn how to be fiscally responsible so that if heaven forbid you lost your job because you said the wrong thing and you preached your faith, that tomorrow you'd have another job lined up. Everybody wants, Christians want to say, oh, God will take care of me. Yeah, I think he will, but also he's given you enough of the tools to be able to take care of yourself. So when people say, oh, it wasn't you, it was God. Yeah, it's both. God gave you all of the tools that you needed. And how many times have you heard not to be in debt? How many times have you heard to continue to network and build out your skill set so that you can provide for your family? So don't come crying to me when you lose your job because you stood in faith and you're like, well, where was God? Well, where were you? You already have the skill set. You already have the tools. You already have the God-given talents and abilities. Where were you? Why are you putting it on God? He already did his part. Now you do yours. And for whatever deficiency we have, he will make up for the rest. But that requires us to take a few steps, not just to have utter faith. I think it's in James, faith without works is dead. James 2:22, maybe. I can't remember right offhand, but faith without works is dead. You got to work, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when the notification first came across my phone that Charlie Kirk had been shot, I actually swiped away from the first notification, but then a second one came in via Facebook, but my initial response was anger, and then after a couple of days of that, I said, you know what, it's a grim wake up call for me, and other men that I've talked to as well, even in my community, but the first thing that I wanted to do was respond with prayer and to embark upon this journey to find out what it means to truly lead this household God's way, and how to protect my family too. So, how do you think a man can prepare his family for what is likely to come as far as increased violence in these public spaces?
Real dialogue, not sugar-coated soft language, but real dialogue of what they're likely to face. And I get it. I wish we didn't have to. I wish we didn't have to show our young children and teach our young children about violence and about temptation and about struggle and about evil people and about those who would take advantage of them. I wish that weren't the case, but that's a fairy tale la la land that just doesn't exist. And so when appropriate, I'm going to teach my children what they might face. You know, I was talking with my youngest son, again, he's 9, and we were talking about people who would want to kidnap other children. and we were talking about how they do it. And it's not fun. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about Pokemon cards is what I want to talk about with him. I don't want to talk about those things. I don't want to talk about sex with my daughter or with my young children and the temptations and the things that are likely. I don't want to have those conversations, but I will, because that's what's required. And that's part of what a man's job is to have uncomfortable conversations. So I think it's a 2-part equation: conversations and application. All my children know how to shoot firearms. They all know the firearm safety rules. When we pull into the Walmart parking lot, before we get out of the car, I say, look around. What do you see? To all my kids, what do you see? I'm like, I don't see anything, Dad. I see that woman walking in and I see that person walking there. And 90% of the time they're like, yeah, it looks good. I don't see anything. And 10% of the time it's like, I see that guy over there standing by the door. He looks weird. I don't discount that. Why does he look weird? What about him looks weird to you? Well, I don't know. He just looks like, look at his clothes, or he doesn't look, maybe he's homeless, or maybe he's on drugs. Okay. So what should we do? Do we let those people dictate our lives? No, but we make decisions based on our external potential threats. People say, oh, it's profiling. I don't give a if it's profiling. You know what I care about? Making sure that my children are safe and they can see dangers before they happen. And so we talk about it. Hey, and when they say that guy looks weird because of his clothes, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't discount it or say, well, maybe he's a good person. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. That's something to be aware of. Maybe he is a good person, but maybe he's not. So let's just be aware and let's make good decisions based on it. And these are the kind of conversations I have with my children. Not fun. I wish it was more innocent, but I operate and deal in reality, not fairy tale land.
Whenever we go out in public, even if it's just a Walmart or something, I find myself pulling some level of security whenever I'm out there, and just being more vigilant and not being on my phone as much, not being sucked down into here like this. Oh, look at what the Dallas Cowboys did, or look at what this, look what Stephen A. Smith said about this, or, just a distraction, right? I'm minimizing my distractions so that I can be better prepared for, honestly, like I said, for what is likely to happen at some point in time.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know we're kind of running out of time here, pushing that point. So I've only got 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
You had mentioned that you were wanting to start a local chapter of Order of Man right there where you're at. How does that happen? And what does that look like for you?
Easy. I just posted on Facebook and I say, hey, friends, on the first Monday of every month, I'm getting together with men. I've secured this place and we're going to get together. The first time we get together, I'm going to explain what I'm doing. The second time we get together, we're going to go shooting, or we're going to go hit golf, or we're going to go mow this elderly woman's lawn, or we're going to clean up this space, or we're going to go work out, or we're going to go paint together, or we're going to all go on a group date with our significant others. I think a lot of the times we complicate it, but it's as simple as that. And then I'm going to figure it out along the way. Maybe certain things work, maybe other things don't. But I mean, Ryder, you've got friends, right? You've got a handful of guys, family members, friends, guys that you hang out with. You could do the same thing. It's not hard. You just got to go do it, and you have to be consistent about it. Years ago, I started a basketball night, and me and one other friend said, hey, every Tuesday night, we're going to go play basketball with our boys. And we eventually grew that through consistency over several months to more guys than we even wanted there, because we weren't getting enough basketball playing time as we wanted because of how many guys were there. So we started a second night. It's easy. It's very, very easy, but you just have to put forth the work and the effort. Nobody else is going to do it, by the way. It's got to be you. It has to be you.
People talk a lot, but they don't actually act a lot.
Yeah, they talk a lot, but they just want to plug into something. Like, oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. I'm definitely going to do that. It's like, when it's available. Like, okay. Well, that presents an opportunity for me to do it. And then you can tap into what I'm doing, which I'd rather have it that way anyways, because then I get to decide what it's going to be, and I get to build it the way I want to build it, and something that's going to serve me.
So how can you make sure that you don't get the wrong kind of people in a brotherhood that you're trying to build?
By doing the right things. The wrong people don't stick around in doing the right things.
Okay.
So if I say, hey guys, we're gonna go mow this widowed woman, she's 80 years old. She's got a bunch of weeds to pull. We got to mow her grass, and we got to do a little few minor repairs with her. One of the garden boxes is falling apart. We need to put a new post in, or we need to pour a little bit of concrete to patch her sidewalk. The wrong people aren't going to show up to that. Only the right people show up to that. And you let people weed themselves out. And if I have 20 guys who normally come and only 10 of them come that day, outside of a legitimate reason to not come, I'm going to think less of them joining us in the future. Yeah, it's cool to come out when we do the fun things, but you don't get to participate in the fun things if you won't come participate with us in the real things that matter, which is not shooting guns or playing golf. It's building our communities.
Absolutely. It's for me, it starts in my household and then it's going to bleed everywhere else. Right. Becoming better in my house in all aspects, not just one way, completely transforming. Right.
I agree with you to an extent. It does start in your house because that's your locus of control, right? That's where you have the most influence. At least it ought to be, and it should be. But you do have to be deliberate about turning it outwards. And that's not always easy, especially as a man who has young kids and has sports and things you need to do around the house and church responsibilities. It's not easy. So I don't want to say that just because a man might be doing things within the walls of his home, it automatically means he's turning that outwards. It doesn't mean that. You do have to be a lot more deliberate and intentional about turning it outwards at some point.
Okay. I didn't think about that, but yeah, no, that makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking at first. So just one last question for you here. What's one practical thing that every man listening to this episode could do this week, right? Like now, to become a better protector, provider, and presider?
So 4 realms that we deal in. And Ryder, you'll learn this because you're a member of the Iron Council. 4 realms. Number 1 is calibration. So that's mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So pick one thing that you can do every day to check that box. And maybe it's, I'm going to read for 10 to 15 minutes of scripture every day. Cool. Or I'm going to journal my thoughts every day for the next 30 days and just document it. Cool. That's good. Those are both good things to do. So that's calibration. Next is connection. So those are the relationships you have. So I'm really working to build a relationship with my daughter right now. And so my only goal or my only task, the thing that I want to do more than anything else, is every day I connect with her. Some days it might be a note. Other days it might be going to kick the soccer ball in the backyard. When she's with her mom, it might be sending her a text or a phone call. But every day I'm going to connect with her and reach out to her in some way. So that's my connection. Condition is the physical realm. Nutrition, sleep, physical fitness, training, bodybuilding, jujitsu, running, biking, cycling, whatever. And so every day I'm going to do 30 minutes of workout, whatever my chosen workout is. And then the last is contribution. And that is synonymous with becoming a man of value. Sometimes you're going to be compensated through work, for example. And in your case, as a stay-at-home father, you may not be compensated financially for your efforts, but there's a lot of other compensation, I'm sure, as you're raising your kids at home. But what's a thing that you can do to serve other people, to add value to other people's lives, to learn a new skill set that will help you be more marketable? Whatever you can do to improve yourself and become more valuable, then you do that for 30 minutes a day. So if you did 30, 30, 30, 30, that's going to take you 2 hours out of the day. Some people might say that's a lot. I don't think it's a lot at all because it's an investment in yourself. And the more you do those 4 things, the better off you're going to be across all realms: physical, financial, familial, with your friends, your relationships, your faith. All of it will be improved because you focused on those 4 things.
And that's a really very good way to end that. And I look forward to learning all these different things in the Iron Council.
It's going
I'm
to be
really glad
amazing.
I'm telling you, I've been looking for something like this forever. Forever. But, Ryan, thank you so much for this. I'm of a mind that time is the only thing that we don't get back in our lives. So for you to offer your time to my little podcast here and my small community, you answered a lot of questions that I get on a daily basis with the mission of the Man Mode podcast. So just again, thank you so much, and it does not go unappreciated. Seriously.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to be here, and I really wish you'd purge that ideology from your vocabulary. This little podcast is not little. Even if you reached one person and they improved their life. I got a message from a guy today, and he talked to me about his daughter who is terminally ill. She's been diagnosed with a terminal form of cancer, and he's part of the Iron Council. And he said, Ryan, when I joined, I didn't really have a real clear reason or purpose for being here, but I see it now. And you know what? If my movement and what we've done here didn't serve a single person outside of him, it would be worth it. That's not little. It's not insignificant to him. It's not insignificant to his daughter. So I don't really get to decide what is valuable to other people. They get to decide. And if somebody says this is significant, then it is, because perception is reality. So don't discount yourself, man. This is powerful, and we need a lot more people in this battle.
Well, hey, thank you for calling me out on that. That's the kind of things that men need, honestly. So just again, thank you.
Of course, man. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.